Hello, everyone. Welcome back to. We're really going into gravel hard this year. I can't believe 3 weeks in a row we've got shows, and uh, we're talking one of our favorite ones today in Redlands, Strada Rossa. Uh, I've unfortunately missed it the last 2 years. Well, no, I didn't miss it 2 years. Last year was a family commitment. The year before, got about 10% of the way before crashing out, which was an anomaly. But I also met other great people of the Redlands area through that arrangement. But we're excited. This is year 11. This is a great community event. One of these rare ones that is all volunteer based and is all about fundraising, yet somehow it is a fantastic ride at the same time. So this is really from a constituency that really loves gravel, and we're pretty excited every year when this comes back, and we know the locals love it. So, well, let's just get back into it. We've got Michael Heel here, and of course Vic. Good evening, Michael.
Hey, so good to be here. Thank you for the invite and the opportunity to talk about Redlands Strada Rossa one more time.
Well, I mean, we love it every year. We know it. The long course is always a little bit more difficult than maybe what some people. It always has a lot for people. But I know you give a couple of course options, and if I didn't mention already, I know the course changes every year except for one segment. I'm just saying that because I know Rock Cobbler did the same thing, except one segment they've had to subtract because of Toad's Canyon, because of like washouts and problems, but not at Redlands Strada Rossa, right?
No, we've had one segment that's been in every single iteration. I used to, in my first role, when I first was a volunteer with the organization, I used to do the routes in the very beginning. And I've passed that on to Adrienne since then. So I'm not sure what she's planning to do this year. I guess we'll have to see. I would be surprised if we didn't do the carriage trailer, because that one's been in every single year. And I think Teddy's Trail has been in most of them, but not the very first one. So we have, anyway, a couple differences this year. We've had a lot of problems with our course marking over the course of years. Our course marks have been tampered with every single year we've done the event, that we started marking the course. And in the first 2 years, we didn't really mark the course. You showed up, we gave you a route slip, and off you went. That's how the ride started. So we thought we'd go back to doing some of our routes, because we can't use motorized vehicles, bikes, motorcycles type thing. We can use e-bikes, but that's only if the people have an e-bike. So it takes about 2 hours to mark about 10 miles of the course. So we usually have like 25 people mark the course and then also tear it down. And so, that's like a big commitment to a lot of people doing a lot of work. So this year we kind of thought we'd go back to doing our routes where, people would just follow the route. We will give you the route a few days in advance, like we normally do. And then people can either follow it on their GPS device, or what we will do with some local riders is give them some kind of sticker to stick on themselves to identify that they're a local. And then you can make a friend who rides at your speed and ride together and get to know some people and have some fun all together. And, so that's kind of the change this year.
Except for Jonas, because that won't do any good. No one's going to be able to keep up with him.
Well, yeah, maybe. I don't know. For the first 20 miles. We'll see.
Why would anybody tamper with the course? What is that about?
I don't know. I mean, like, we've had multiple areas on every single year where people have either taken down our course markings, or just turned things around or done whatever. So, it's just Sometimes the horse people, they just take the stuff out and throw it away,
Hmm.
which means we can never reuse it either. So, we've had a lot. We've also had people throw nails on the road, thumbtacks, and I think Strada Rossa XI, we had like 15 people flat in one area because of all the thumbtacks that they threw. So anyway, it's just something that sometimes happens. Hopefully not again.
Well, since then, I mean, the ride itself, I know you limit the number of people that can ride it, but how many spaces do you have available for people?
Well, the conservancies, because we're essentially a fundraiser for 2 conservancy areas to help keep those spaces open for the public to either ride, run, walk, that type of thing. So they limit us to 300 people. In a way, that kind of helps us because we give you a home cooked meal, and it's very hard to cook for more than 300 people when you're doing a home cooked kind of meal. So that does kind of help us. But then the other thing is they will never close the conservancy areas on the day that the event is going on, and as a result, they won't allow us to put numbers on people and actually race and time them. And so that's one of the reasons why we don't really do that, is because we're kind of constricted. If we went to them and said we wanted to race, they would all say no. So, because they're not going to close trails, we make a point of trying to tell all the participants in the event to, give way to anyone else who's using the trail and be nice to them, because we don't want them complaining because it jeopardizes the future of the event. So, but that said, for the past few years, we've been raising $15,000 to $20,000 for the conservancies. We don't carry a balance from year to year. We pretty much give everything after we've paid for everything that we needed to cover the cost of the ride. We basically donate everything to the 2 conservancies, and they mostly use the money to make new trails, fix trails, any of those types of things. We'll get outreach for people to advertise and come and do family events and stuff in the trails. So that's for the most part what they've been using the money for as well. I know the Redlands Conservancy has spent a bit of money fixing the Gateway Ranch, which takes us on the other side of Oakmont into Kalamazoo, and fixing that area up as well. So, we're lucky to have 2 places where where we can access good dirt trails and good dirt rides all the time, where we can ride right out of my house and hit a dirt trail within 5 minutes. So that's really awesome.
I know Anton here was my biggest ride of the year, and that says something. I know Anton loves local events, and there's definitely a face in the crowd out there. Also, just if you're on on YouTube, we've got a link to registration below, or you can just put in the comments over here. One thing I think we can go up, and I know last year Brandon did an article in the Radivist and shot a bunch of pictures, and Brandon helped organize our Send It Mavericks last year and this year. So he did some great. Yeah, he always does some great work with the camera. So maybe we'll just go through some slides, and you can kind of like take us through the whole thing.
So this is the start finish area. It's an outpost that belonged to the San Gabriel mission. And this is one of the 3 outposts I think that they had for the mission. It's called the Assistencia. So it kind of looks like a mission's got a chapel and everything. And the Redlands Conservancy runs and manages and owns it. And this is where we feed people. People just put their bikes anywhere. They sit down. They have picnics. There's some porta-johns outside. There's a beer tent. Usually there's an ice cream place as well. So you can get food, ice cream, beer, just relax and enjoy the time after the ride. Yeah.
And you forgot live music.
Oh yeah, that's true. We have had live music as well. Yes, for sure.
I had the best burrito in a long time after that ride. I was so hungry, and it was amazing.
Right.
So
Yeah, Mark does a really wonderful job with the food. So
Yeah.
Mark was the original founder of Redland Strada Rossa, and he does the food and cooks all the food, which is a huge undertaking. He gets a bunch of people to help him as well.
Okay, and I see Anton is in the middle of this picture.
Oh, right on.
With the big blue shirt right in the middle. And here he is on the right. So I guess he made it through the first 1/10 of a mile. Sure. We've got proof of that.
Right.
But I know generally you've got 3 distances every year: the 90, the 60, the 30, and they don't all start at the same time.
No, so we start the 90 at 7 o'clock, and then we start the 65 roughly, not roughly, at 8 o'clock, and then at 9 o'clock we start it's usually like between 35 and 40 miles. It's kind of hard to get some of the trails we want to get people to without and still make it shorter. So about 35 to 40 miles is about as short as we can get.
Oh
yeah.
Now, these hills, I know this is kind of like heading out, kind of like southwest from the start.
Yeah, that's Hilda Crooks, which is in Loma Linda. It's not very far from the start finish, but it's the first or second dirt section, depending on what ends up happening. It depends which direction we go to. It may be the last if we go the other way. So, but Hilda Crooks is really a very good mountain bike place. A lot of us go there to ride mountain bikes. There's tons of mountain bike single track, but we usually stick to the fire road here when we do this. I've done some of these trails on a gravel bike, but most of them are much better on a mountain bike.
And I remember when, I guess the course we did in 2022 had this area, and I remember we ran through that field of donkeys on the way down.
That was amazing.
Yeah,
they're not donkeys, were they? What were they?
No, I don't know if donkeys. They're burros. They are actually in the process of moving them to Texas because they are a bit of a hazard, both environmentally because they eat all the grass. And then also they wander into the roads and the train tracks, and they wander onto the train tracks, and the trains hit them. So yeah, but for the most part, they're pretty docile. You can ride right between them. Sometimes they run away. Sometimes they usually hang down at the bottom of that canyon in that picture that you have there. So right in that flat section, when you get there, if you're the first rider through there in the morning, you'll get like 100 of them.
Yeah, we were not ready for that. And, from far away, we couldn't quite make out exactly what type of animal it was. So I was kind of surprised we got closer. So now basically they're just out there in the wild.
Yeah, there are certain areas where they're kind of fenced in a little bit. Then there's a bunch where they wander into the roads, and then cars hit them. It can be pretty tragic on all counts. And then they also, all this grass you see here, come July, there's not a blade of grass left, and there's very little water for them to drink as well. So it just because they just eat everything. And after it stops raining here, usually in like April, things go brown.
So who's going to take them to Texas? That's a big undertaking.
I don't know. I don't know who's. I know that it's part of the county is rounding them up and putting them into like big, massive trucks and then just shipping them to Texas.
I hope they're really going to Texas.
I hope so.
Oh God! Yeah, we're taking them to Texas.
And Texas' refusal to accept them. We'll see how that goes. Now I know like a lot of the course, like it's, well, I should step back a little bit in that, for people that have never ridden out in Redlands, that there is a huge variety of types of gravel surfaces, landscapes, all within. And, this is some of maybe a little bit more of the prairie grasslands type of hills types of areas.
Yeah. So yeah, this picture is basically the edge of Oakmont, where you go into the Park of Oakmont, which is controlled by the Redlands Conservancy. So, and that's a spot where we go riding almost every. I go there 2 or 3 times a week.
Okay, and I remember this place as a pit stop, and just to let people know that you guys have a pretty good pit stop situation too, along the course. Like you won't need more than 2 bottles while you're out there.
Yeah, you don't need. I mean, unless you really want to finish fast, you won't need a hydro pack or anything like that. What we do on our side is what we wanted to get all the local people involved as much as possible. So we approach all the local bike stores in the area and ask them to help us run SAG stops. We give them what I would call a SAG stop starter kit of some basic things. And they all get those things depending on how many riders are coming through, because not every SAG stop gets all 3 rides. And some of them get hit at the beginning really hard, and some of them, at the end, they come through in drips and drabs. So it depends where they are and stuff. But Don's Bikes and Cyclery have been 2 places that have supported us since the very beginning, and they've done a really great job. They also, all our SAG stops have a mechanic with some basic things like tubes and sealants and pumps. And we've also asked them to have like brake pads and stuff just in case. And they have a bike stand, and they can fix your derailleur if it's clicking and not adjusted. They can help, fix your basic items on your bike, if things aren't fully dialed in on the ride. So maybe you hit a rock or something and your derailleur is a little off or something. That type of thing is what they can help do. So we 951 Bikes has also done some in the past, and there's a new bike store in Cherry Valley that's going to help us this coming one.
Awesome.
Ridgeline Services. That's it. I was thinking of the name. So they're pretty new too. So hopefully, I'm just waiting for 951 to see if they're going to do it, and then we'll have 4 SAG stops done. Sometimes the people who do the 90, they hit the same SAG stop twice. It's like a lollipop, and so they hit it on the way out, and then they hit it on the way back as well. And so the people who are doing the 90 end up getting 5 SAG stops. Or not 90, it used to be 90, it's now like 80, 85. So
82, 72, that would be fine too, right, Vic?
Yeah. 90's a lot.
Now this area I remember a lot too.
Serengeti.
No, it's not Serengeti.
It's not Serengeti?
No. Unfortunately, we can't use the Serengeti on Strada Rossa. No, because there's a conservancy we cross over into Riverside County, and there's a conservancy in Riverside called Lands and Rivers, Riverside Lands and Rivers, and we've asked them for permission multiple times and even offered to donate money, and they're not interested.
Well, still though, they have a lot of great land around. I remember this one is like where the trail kind of goes and follows just as the hill, like as the plains hit the hills, and you kind of go in and out. And
this is in Oakmont.
Yeah. This is a fun area, which this area is normally in every year, right?
It has been recently, yes. In fact, this was in the first edition as well. But I don't think it's been used every single time. Oh, let me go back. Interesting question. It might have been. Oh, no, it was not used in the third one. Yeah. So that's another view. That's the same trail a little further up the hill.
Mm-hmm.
And, March is why we do this event in March is usually when it's at its greenest and its best. And usually most of the rain has gone through, although this year has definitely been an anomaly as far as that goes.
No rain.
No rain.
Well, I heard like a couple weeks ago, like Big Bear was getting snow, but I know that you're a little more than an hour drive away from me, but sometimes different weather patterns. Was everything still kind of yellowish or a little tint of green or?
Yeah, it's looking pretty sad right now. I'm really hoping we get some rain and things start to change. We had a small rainfall like in the beginning of November, and we haven't had anything else at all. So,
well, February is the rainiest month, and I guess last year there was a little bit of rain during the event too.
It rained. Yeah, I guess. Well, I was at the finish, and it did rain for like 10 minutes at the event. It was like sprinkling for like 10 minutes, but I believe elsewhere on the course, it did actually rain a little there, and some people did kind of get a little wet. It's like one of those things that you can't control, right?
Nope. Well, I can't comment. Some people believe that we can, so we'll see.
This is one of my favorite trails and one I rode today. It's called Three Hawks. It's in Crafton Hills College Conservancy area. And it's a really beautiful trail. In fact, someone's been working on it and fixing it. I posted a picture of it yesterday because I rode it yesterday too. So yeah, I love this trail.
Yeah, Vic, you've ridden this before.
Yep. Awesome.
Yeah. Nice, good flow. I mean, this that's a question because the times I've done it, I've never seen anyone go downhill this. Is just because like the turn's a little bit too sharp for people to do it, because it's this is just one of those trails where it's fun to spin, especially through those sharp curves
and the switchbacks.
Yeah, we've gone down this before. But right next to this, parallel, kind of. I mean, they're both squiggly, so they're not straight. But there's a trail, literally 150 yards to the left of this trail as we look at it. And that one's called Thunderbird. It's a half a mile longer because it does some more squiggly stuff. And that one's a little more fun to go downhill on. So usually if we were to take you downhill this direction, that would be the one to do, because it's even more squiggly. It's not quite as photographic, but it's like, and we've gone up it many times in the ride as well. But Thunderbird is right next to Three Hawks, and both of them are pretty awesome. They both have a really great flow. They have good switchbacks, and they're both a good 8% grade for most of the slog.
And then this is more Crafton, and
so that's the main fire road going up to Crafton. That's at the third last bench, and that's usually the road does like a switchback, and you can sometimes see it on the left. I don't know. So yeah, it's definitely we ride this all the time.
Look how beautiful that is.
Yeah.
I mean, that is epic.
So just a tiny bit of history here. Jack Dangerman, who owns Esri here in Redlands, which is by far the biggest employee in the local area, and a pretty big company responsible for a lot of our digital mapping that we get and use in all kinds of other apps. So he purchased this on the steps of the courthouse because it was going to become a private golf club, like a gated golf community.
No.
And so he
No.
purchased it and then donated it to the Crafton Hills Conservancy, to caretake for it.
Perfect.
So that's how this came about,
Would have been an awesome zip line park too. But I mean that's the thing is like you just have these connecting hills, but I know the Crafton's one of the bigger ones, and
Right.
then this is kind of looking north towards like the San Bernardino Mountains.
Correct. Yeah, that goes. That's kind of looking towards Big Bear, right there, and that's the top of Crafton. Yeah, almost the top. And the Santa Ana River is running through that, which then flows all the way out into Huntington Beach area, which is where it comes out. And it's the longest, biggest river in Southern California. So it kind of starts up in the mountains by Forest Falls and then runs all the way from there.
And so we have like a few potential like rivers that might have been longer, but have have not been able to reach the ocean, like the Kern River, for example, just kind of sits out there in the Central Valley. So it's interesting. You can see remnants of where these rivers used to go, but we've ridden by this and still pretty active.
So this river flows year round. It's still flowing. I crossed it on Saturday. It's not like really high right now because we haven't had a lot of rain and there's not a lot of snow in the mountains. But if there's a lot of snow in the mountains, it can really come down pretty fast. So,
are there fish in it?
There might be. I'm not 100% sure on that. I'm not the fishing kind of person.
Either.
I'd be the wrong person to ask for that.
That would be Gravel Fishing California.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Vic.
Gravel fishing. This is still in Crafton, I believe. Mm-hmm. And that's almost towards the top. I think that's one of the last few turns before you reach the bench at the top.
And I think we've taken a few pictures up here before, for sure. And then, I definitely like what's interesting too is like the orange grove history that is through the area. And I think even like by your house, Vic, whenever I go there, like, a couple of your neighbors too have like orange trees, and you think about the early, farmers of Southern California, but definitely there's a larger presence out in the Redlands area.
Mm.
Yeah. And I believe this is where navel oranges came from. So, and they were hybridized into navel oranges, and this is where they found them, and they found them to be the sweetest of all the oranges or something. I'm not a big orange fanatic, so I don't know 100%. But I take my students on a heritage tour in Redlands, and I've picked up a few things about oranges just there. But I enjoy the oranges from January to April. And then they go away.
We'll go through. We'll let people have to try and come out here and experience some of these trails too. But yes, this Bridgeway, when it is part of the ride, is a pretty interesting feature too.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Just like when I first moved to this area, that was actually the road that went through Green Spot, and we used to ride this all the time on our road bikes. This was before we did gravel stuff, and now I don't even ride my road bike through Green Spot because when they built the new bridge and they put it in there, the cars drive so much faster now because they widened the road. Mm-hmm. And the whole road, everyone is doing 60 to 70 miles an hour, even though it's a single road. But it just, so I didn't even go there anymore. It's just seems like you're taking your life in your hands, But this is the old bridge, and they kept it as a keepsake. A lot of people take photos here of their motorcycles and all kinds of stuff. And there you go.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it's a really fun thing to see. Also, if you look to the right there, there's a massive dam wall. We did get permission to go over the dam wall twice over the course of Strada Rossa, and that there's actually not a lot of water behind there. That dam wall is actually there in case there's a massive earthquake, and the dam wall at Big Bear breaks. That would stop all the water from flooding everyone in through the valley, and that's why that dam wall is there. And I guess Orange County get their water from Big Bear, and so they built the dam wall. Wow. Because the dam in Big Bear is a man-made lake.
I hope YouTube doesn't flag your language there.
Did I say bad words?
The damn wall. I don't know. I don't know what their algorithms are like. Hopefully they're smarter than that. And then kind of like back here to the post ride where food is great. And as Vic would say, are there vegan options? And the answer is yes. Right?
Yes, there's vegan, vegetarian options for sure, as well as meat options. So the person in the red with the baseball cap, that's actually Mark.
And
he started Strada Rossa and still involved with it. And if you look at this picture, you'll see that brick round thing. That's actually the old fountain in the Assistencia, which they had to use. That was their water source.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Obviously cemented in now. So, but it's always kind of cool just seeing all the bikes inside Assistencia,
Well, I mean, it's kind of it's a great area just to get everyone together, and I think everybody intermingles, and it definitely has like a great community feel. And I think we're back to the first slide, but yeah, it's just you definitely have to make sure you're there to hang out for quite a while afterwards, and
Yeah, I think if you don't budget this time into your day, I do think you miss out just a little.
Oh yeah,
yeah, you do not want to sprint and get the way out, and that's like what I was hoping. Like last year, I was like, because they don't give the time that my daughter was supposed to perform until the night before, because they don't want people leaving early. So I was like, do I roll the die? But don't have this problem this year. She's a junior high school student now. So
yeah. So I just got to point one thing out. One of the things that I always use as was the event a good event? And one of them that I use in my mind whenever I look at all the bikes that are there at the event is like, if everyone shows up on the same black carbon bike, I don't think that's a good thing. And one of the things I love about Strada Rossa is that you get so many different kinds of bikes. Like people on like flat bar mountain bikes, people with rigid front forks and all kinds of things, that you don't see when you do some of the race.
I saw bikes with baskets on the front, stuff like that.
And so when I stand at the start and the finish and I look at all the bikes, I see all these like very different things. I don't know. I always get like a small bit of satisfaction from just seeing all the differences. I mean, like I have like the kind of a black carbon bike. So it's not like I'm any different, but it's I just like seeing that there's just so much difference out there, and I like to see all those differences, in the bikes, the personalities that come through and with it. So,
well, the question I always get is, what type of tire should I use? I know, like this year, the answer may be different in another month, but the fact there is no rain, like we've had as much, like what would probably be if Strada Rossa was today, like what would probably be the happy place?
I would imagine that people are arriving at home. Like anything, I think between 38 mil tire to like 45, you're probably in a really good area in those things. Some of it depends on what your bike can take. If your bike can go wider, but having wider tires always kind of helps, especially if you're in sand, rocks, or sandy, rocky. Those, it just kind of helps. So we do have a lot of single track built into the event, and I always really enjoy those sections, especially the climbing as well as the downhill single track sections can be super fun. I kind of enjoy them, but and most people do comment on that. I think finding the tire you used to use and you used to, I think, is probably the best thing to do. And then really playing around with pressures and finding the pressure that works with that tire for you, because I think it's different for everyone. That to me, I think, is probably more important than someone telling you what to put on your bike. I think if you are used to using 40 mil tires, keep using them, and dial in your pressures so that it you get the best of everything you need. So.
Yeah, I think I liken the Strada Rossa to the rock cobbler, but not in the crazy climbs or hike bikes, but the fact that there's no one surface that you're probably going to, this is going to be a primary surface throughout the ride. You have to kind of be prepared for everything and to try and find that happy spot for the tires is the important thing.
I laughed so hard because I got the email from Sam about the rock cobbler like a couple of weeks back, and he said, "Don't bring a road bike. Don't bring an XC bike. Don't bring a gravel bike." I think he made a spelling error, but I laughed. I was like, because that explains a lot about a lot of gravel events. There's no right bike. Like,
don't bring a gravel bike, he said.
Yeah, he made a typo. He didn't mean to say that. But I just laughed so hard because it was like, yeah, I don't know. I'm a sarcastic person sometimes, and my cynical side kicked in. And I was like, yeah, that's perfect.
Everything's a compromise. I mean, at some point you're going to be on the wrong tire, no matter which tire you pick. Because like Zach said, there's 100 different surfaces we're going to be on, and you just have to find the happy median.
So during COVID, we did a race, like a social distancing race. You had to time, well, Strava times it for you. You had to do certain segments within a certain amount of time, and you had to do them all on the same bike. And you had to take a photo of your bike so that we could see your tires were the same and your bike was the same. So you can only change those things. And I did the whole thing on a road bike just because I was like, let's do it on a road bike. Just see. And actually, I set so many PRs going downhill on gravel on a road bike, on single track and stuff. It was insane. So, I mean, it's like, it's a bit of a mind game.
It is. It is.
But
Anton here is asking, am I doing the 90? I've kind of learned that sometimes I don't have to do the longest ones, but I really do enjoy everything that I would do the 90 because I love it so much. I want to see as much different stuff. I know Vic may not do 90, but
I've done 90. Yeah. As long as it's not 9,000 feet of climbing.
Well, the formula that we have out here, and it just never seems to fail, is for every 10 miles you end up riding, you're going to go up 1,000 feet. You can make that number go higher, but you can't make it go down. So if you end up doing 80 miles, you're going to do about between 7,500 to 8,500 feet. Like it's just gonna happen. Like there are very few flat roads here, and if they are flat, they don't last very long. They either are going up or down, and so when you're trying to string 80 miles or 65 miles together, it's just gonna work that way. I mean, we can put bigger hills in so we can make that elevation number go higher than the 10,000 feet per 10 miles. But you can't make it's very hard to make it go down.
Okay. All right.
Well, I mean, I like this, you know, room 2 years ago doing a high tower and finished it crazy. And yeah, I mean, like the other thing too is like if you're just kind of getting into it, you've got the shorter distances that you can get into, and just to get I think the thing is some of the gravel events you have to be prepared for like 80, 90 miles, and so it's great to have these options in there. So I'm glad you cater to all different, you know, people just getting into it, and then people looking for a big adventure.
Yeah, I know we have one of the women on my race team, Emily. She does all these 5-day overnight camping race things that they do. And she always she does the 90 mile on Strada Rossa just as a training ride. And I remember last year, I was locking up and she arrived. She did the whole thing with her, like she had packed in a whole bunch of stuff on a bike too, just to make it real. Like, so yeah.
Wow.
Like she had a tent on her bike and stuff like that.
I don't know what she had in there, but she had packs in her bike, and I'm not sure exactly how much she was carrying, but she wasn't carrying light like I would.
Wow.
It's
like
so.
Lil Wilcox. Jeez. Well, it looks like people.
And she was in full rain gear.
Wow, interesting.
That's hardcore. Like a sauna,
and a sweatsuit, and you know,
flip flops and flats.
Uh-huh.
Damn.
Well, we'll wrap it up right here, but we know this is a pretty beloved event. It's one of a kind here in Southern California, and it always surprises people. And you know, the fact you guys put this on and it's volunteer based, we need more people to dive in and put a great event like this. So Michael, thanks for joining us. And it's Saturday, March 15th, right?
Yes, Saturday, March 15th. And you can find us on Instagram. There's a Facebook page as well. And there is a website, and I did update the website with the new link to the Eventbrite. But if you just typed in Redland Strada Rossa 2025, it'll show up as the first thing. It's on Eventbrite. It's about $108 to get in, but like I said, every single dime gets donated that isn't spent on getting you through the ride with SAG Stops food and things. I do want to say thank you to you both for having me on. It's always awesome to see you guys, and it's a privilege to be on here and, you know, talk about our event. So thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks for coming on, and well, let's make it through the cobbler first.
Yeah, no, that's always a stress. Just make it back to the finish.
Yeah. All right. Good night, everyone.
All right. Thanks.